Please welcome the Chair of the New York City Housing Authority Citywide Council of Presidents, Daniel Barber. Congressmember Nydia Velasquez. Assemblymember Grace Lee. Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal. State Senator Brian Kavanaugh. Please welcome Mayor Eric Adams. And please join me in welcoming the 57th Governor of the great state of New York, Governor Kathy Hochul.
Hi, everyone. Yes, indeed, my friends. How are you? Welcome, welcome. A lot of excitement in this room. We're here for one reason. NYCHA residents and families matter. That's why we're here. Stand up and give yourselves a round of applause. We're here because you matter. Thank you. NYCHA families. All right. I love you guys. All right. Let's talk a little bit about history here, right? 3.5 years after the pandemic. Most of New York has bounced back, right? Most of New York's doing pretty good. The MTA is setting ridership records. People are taking the subway. We hit 1 billion riders. That's great. Businesses are doing well. Restaurants, Broadway, museums, music venues, they're all packed. But you know what? For countless New Yorkers who live in public housing, they still live in uncertainty and the instability caused by the pandemic because it's never really gone away. They're working so hard to make ends meet. A lot of people lost their jobs. People in healthcare and other jobs, they just lost them. And you know what's the worst of all? The rent payments started piling up and piling up and piling up, creating enormous stress on people. And living conditions didn't get better. They got worse. And that's why we're here today. We're going to give you rental assistance to the New Yorkers who need it the most. And we're going to continue our commitment to improving and reforming our public housing system so every person gets the dignity they deserve. That's not abstract. That's the reality. And as governor for just 2 years, we've already committed over $1 billion. $1 billion to NYCHA. And I want to thank all the individuals who are here, who are so committed to this. My partner, Eric Adams, who's worked hard to make sure that NYCHA residents get what they deserve. Nydia Velasquez, a champion of funding from Washington. Nydia Velasquez. Brian Kavanaugh, the senator who's the chair of the Housing Committee. Thank you, Brian. Lyndon Rosenthal, also the chair of the Assembly Housing Committee. Grace Lee, we're in your district. Thank you for all you do. Another great champion. Eddie Gibbs, one of the sponsors of this. Thank you, Eddie Gibbs. Let's give him a round of applause. And all our elected officials here today that were recognized earlier, I want to thank all of them because they believe in you. They think you deserve better, and so do I. And I want to thank the CEO of NYCHA, Lisa Bova-Hyatt. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Barbara Gwynn, our acting commissioner, vote today. And of course, the one and only, our friend Danny Barber, one of the greatest champions, Danny, Citywide Council Presidents. Now, this place where we are today has been here for 130 years. It was host to a lot of firsts. One of the first playgrounds ever in New York City was right here. This place was the home to the very first public school nurse in New York City. A lot of national historic buildings. This settlement is an important part of New York's history. But today we talk about how that history continues, with real optimism and hope for a better future for hundreds of thousands of our public housing residents. And today we're making clear 2 commitments. First, we're going to support the tens of thousands of New Yorkers who are hard hit by the pandemic and never got the support they needed. We need you to have meaningful rental assistance to help with your back rent. Assist with utility bills. Utility bills keep going up, and you need help. And most importantly, to help people stay in their homes. And secondly, we're going to continue making sweeping, far-reaching investments overall into our public housing system, because for so long, people have said, no, it doesn't matter. Their voices don't matter. They're almost unseen, right? I feel like people aren't paying attention. And there's a legacy of disinvestment that we're going to start changing. Let's start with rental assistance. Now I say, why does this matter so much? You've got enough stress in life, right? The bills pile up. And this is usually one of the bigger ones. And I said, we need to help you with that right now. Whether you're a single mom who lost your job, or family, you might have had to bury someone during COVID and wiped out all your savings. Dip into savings to cover all kinds of things. You know, these are not just numbers on a spreadsheet. These are real lives. You get up in the morning and just wonder, how am I going to get through the day? We're here to help you, because you shouldn't have to struggle like that, because you matter just like everybody else. It doesn't matter where you live, because you matter. Let's let you start fresh. Start fresh today. Don't have to worry about this. We set aside $400 million to help with emergency rental assistance for you. And already, and we've been giving this out for the last 6 months, already today, I'm here to announce $95 million in payments have already gone out to residents, benefiting over 15,000 households. That's what I call a good start. And going $35 million going directly. We're gonna keep it coming. We're gonna keep it coming. And it wasn't a given, because you originally left out of that program, remember? You're like, what about us? What about us? And you were written out of the program, and you would not have received any of these funds. But we worked together, your legislators, your representatives. We said, no, that's not okay. They didn't do anything wrong. They didn't bring on the pandemic. They didn't try to get behind in their rent. For God's sakes, give them a break. So, we're going to start giving you that break. And now you can have a little more peace of mind, not have to have such worry. But the systemic disenfranchisement, which means you're left out of the process, is nothing new. You know, leaders have just gotten used decades past. It's all right, don't worry, they don't have a big political voice. Except you do. Except you do, and the people in this room listen to you. You know, a lot of people just say, well, these problems are so big, they're so expensive to fix. But just kick the can down the road, you know, let other people deal with it. You know, even let's let the next governor deal with it. Well, guess what? I'm the next governor, and I'm going to deal with it. Last year, I signed a bill establishing the Public Housing Preservation Trust. Work with Velasquez, work with all your leaders. That allowed billions of dollars to flow into much-needed repairs and improvements. People said it was impossible. No, that's too complicated. We can't get it done. Yes, we can, and we did. And we worked together with the tenants. We worked with all of you. And there's $50 million now committed to help people facing eviction. And we've expanded the tenant protection units all over the state of New York. And last January, I partnered with Mayor Eric Adams and NYCHA to deliver $300 million to replace all those broken elevators and all the broken things that were so frustrating for you, including Tenant, the Rutgers houses just down the street. We secured over $1.2 billion to make vital capital repairs. You know it needed to get fixed. You told me all about it. I heard all about it. We talked about the pipes and the water and the quality of life in your homes. And I tell you this, it's our job to let you know you are valued, that you matter to all of us. And I'm going to continue focusing on that. Whether it's fixing elevators, making sure you have heat in the wintertime, it's getting cold again, right? Why should anyone be cold and suffer? Why should you have to be so hot in the summertime? Why do the hallway lights flicker on and off? Why are public spaces left dirty? And sometimes you can't even turn the damn shower on in the morning. And it's cold water. It's cold water. No one should live in such appalling conditions in the greatest city on earth. Absolutely not. You should not have to live like that. So now we are asserting that we're taking charge here. We're bringing money to the table with Washington, the city, and the state working on your behalf. And I won't walk away until every single one of you has a home that you're proud of, where everything works. And I'm going to continue thanking you for all your advocacy. You get up to Albany. You're traveling around. You're fighting and fighting and fighting. You got your own lives to lead, right? But you care enough not just about yourselves, about your neighbors too, and your community. And I want you to know your voices have broken through. We heard you. We're going to continue to hear you. And this is a new beginning. And I thank all of you for being champions for the people. And I'll be there right alongside every single one of you. Congratulations, everybody. It's a great day. Thank you. And with that, let me bring up Mayor Adams, another person strongly committed to our friends who live in NYCHA. Ladies and gentlemen, Mayor Adams.
We cannot thank the governor enough on all of these initiatives during so many challenging times. I mean, from the subway safety plan to the support around the migrant asylum seekers to the criminal justice assistance to the housing assistant. During tough times, a tough person stands up and gives the real leadership. Governor, kudos to you and the statewide leadership that you have been showing during these challenging times. And I know we mentioned some of our other electeds, but it is really the partnership on the city, state, and federal level that makes it happen. We have other great electeds that are here that have been real partners. The amazing Assemblywoman from Queens, Assemblywoman Jennifer Rajkumar, coming up her Diwali tour, Senator Sepulveda, Senator Cordell Clear, Senator Robert Jackson, always fighting on behalf of children and families, Assemblyman Harvey Epstein. It's just a partnership of all of us coming together to really deal with this important issue. And I am just pleased. This is probably one of the most significant things we were able to accomplish with our partners in Albany and Washington and with the governor's office to go after those men and women who are seeking assistance that live in NYCHA. The foundation of our city is public housing. And under Deputy Mayor Maria Torres Springer, we included NYCHA funding in our overall housing plan. She made it clear that you cannot talk housing and leave out NYCHA. That was one of her most important aspects of our housing plan. And so that is the partnership that we needed. And so although we are facing major budget challenges, and let's be clear, COVID dollars are running out. We're not receiving the money we need on the national government for the asylum seeker issue. We are looking at major financial challenges, but we know what we are doing today. This is not spending, this is investing. When you invest in NYCHA, you are investing in the future, and that's something that the governor understands, and I truly understand, and our other partners in government understands. We've been through tough times, making ends meet, the pandemic, dealing with all the other crises, but the emergency rental assistance program is the right thing to do. And as the governor stated, it was unbelievable that as we were talking about giving a lifeline to every other segment of our society, we stated that there was nothing for NYCHA residents. Unacceptable. And the lawmakers knew that, went back to the drawing board, and now NYCHA residents and subsidized housing tenants are going to be considered as they come through the tragedies that were associated with the pandemic. And I know what it's like to live in the fear of homelessness. I grew up with that hanging over our heads all the time. When you're back in your rent, you're unsure of what tomorrow looks like. We're not going to allow you to live in that fear, and that's what the governor has stated. It was important for us to stand up and stand tall. We saw how government works this time. Everybody talks about the dysfunctionality of government, but this time we saw how it worked. We saw the countless number of people who went to Albany and advocated on behalf of NYCHA residents. We saw them come together. We heard from them, and our lawmakers heard. And then the governor, the state elected official, NYCHA leadership, and the Office of Temporary and Emergency Disability Assistance all came together to put in place, and the Senate and Assembly, thanks to those leaders up there, Senator Andrea Stewart-Cousin, the majority leader, and Speaker Carl Hastie. The Senate and Assembly added funding to the fiscal year 2024 budget to help fill this urgent need, and the governor signed the bill, which was so important. But it didn't stop there, because if you just have the money sitting on someone's desk somewhere, then it is ineffective. So what did we do? NYCHA worked with OTDA and to fast track a bulk submission process for the program, which was designed to provide up to 12 months of financial relief to households that fell behind on rent during COVID. Unbelievable. And they submitted more than $128 million worth of ERAP application on behalf of 33,000 households. And so today, as the governor indicated, we're proud to announce the wave of funds is now being applied to resident rent accounts. That is moving through government at a rapid pace, stating we're not going to sit back and analyze policies while you're dealing with emergencies. We saw how government worked when you get stuff done. And listen, NYCHA's home. 1 out of 17 New Yorkers live in NYCHA. That's real power. That's real strength. And you saw that strength materialize into action. But we can't stop there. We have a real plan. We fought and got NYCHA Land Trust, folks. We got it. Now let's make it happen. Nostrand houses are voting on the future of their homes and whether to join the NYCHA Trust or the PAC program. They went on the ground to get those votes done. And you know what? You may not realize it. You may think they're not here, but all that noise you hear right now, that's them getting it done. Getting it done. Look, what are we saying, folks? We're saying that NYCHA may have been overlooked in the past. NYCHA may have been passed over in the past. Not in this form of leadership you're seeing now. We will not forget you, we will work for you, and we will stand side by side. NYCHA deserved the quality and the equity and the dignity that you fought for so long. We've heard it before. Those bugles you were hearing was not the cavalry, it was taps. NYCHA was dying. And everybody was saying, wait until next year, wait until next year, wait until next year, and next year never came. We must be creative, we must be focused, we must be disciplined, and we must stop waiting until next year and deal with this year. Let's deal with NYCHA right now. And so I'm proud to be here today, and I had a lot going on, but I said I need to come here and celebrate this enormous achievement. You know, you have some great lineup of speakers who are going to talk about this. I got to honor 3 police officers at City Hall, but no matter what I did today, I was with the governor earlier as we did a capping off ceremony at J.P. Morgan Chase, one of the most important businesses that's coming to our city, but the business of NYCHA is the business that's important to all of us. So I wanted to be here and say congratulations. Thank you to all of our lawmakers for making this happen. Let's continue to do so. Thank you very much.
Please welcome to the podium State Senator Brian Kavanaugh.
Thank you very much. It's a great pleasure to be here, right here on Avenue D in the 27th Senate District, which I'm very proud to represent. Thank you, Governor, for being with us today. Thank you for this wonderful announcement and for all your work on behalf of public housing residents. I want to thank the mayor. This is not the first time I've been with the mayor on Avenue D talking about public housing. We were at Reese Houses when there was some, terrible situation there that needed to be addressed, and he was out here with us at 11 o'clock at night on a Friday night to assure residents and make sure we had a proper response to that situation. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. I thank all of the tenant leaders, starting with Danny Barber, who we'll hear for a moment, but also I have a Fund NYCHA Families t-shirt myself, which I wear proudly. I should have worn it today, but it is great to see so many of you here, not only here, but in Albany when it counted in the spring when we needed to get this done. I thank Lisa Bova-Hyatt and everybody at NYCHA who have been working very hard to make very difficult circumstances work, to get money into people's hands, to cover the costs, to start dealing with these terrible repair issues that we all talk about and need to address. Many elected colleagues played a big role in this. Obviously, our leaders, Andrew Stewart Cousins and Carl Hasty. You're going to hear from Linda Rosenthal, my colleague, the housing chair, Grace Lee, whose district we're in, also played a big role, and Eddie Gibbs and Latrice Walker and many others who played a big role in getting this done. So thank you all for being here. In some ways, this is pretty straightforward, and yet it's been made complicated. In 2020, when COVID hit, we understood two big things. First, we needed to prevent evictions, the hundreds of thousands of people who would have been evicted if the normal rules had applied. So we called immediately for a moratorium on evictions in NYCHA and in all the rental housing. And it took the legislature to step in when the prior governor wanted to let that expire and legislate that, and we had an eviction moratorium for 22 months. But we also understood that the rent needed to be paid. We were shutting down the economy. We were shutting down people's jobs. We were denying people the income that was necessary for them to pay their rent. That became complicated for two reasons. First, we had a Republican in the White House, and in spite of the great efforts of Nydia Velasquez and many others, we did not get rental assistance for a full year into COVID until we finally got some federal money. When we finally got federal money, we didn't get enough. And in addition, we had provisions put into the law that prevented us from paying the rent of public housing families or Section 8 families. Fortunately, legislators and this governor understood with clarity that those things needed to change. We are the only state in America that took $3 billion from the federal government and added $1 billion of state money to make sure we had enough money to pay every applicant to the ERAP program. We're the only state in America that did that. And we're today remedying a giant failure of this program, which is that public housing families and Section 8 families were put at the bottom of the list by law. We changed that law. We are now funding all of that need. This is a tremendous day for public housing, tremendous day for everybody for that, and I thank the governor for her leadership on this. Thank you very much.
Please welcome to the podium Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal.
Hi, everyone. It's great to be here on Avenue D. I don't get here often enough, being the Assembly member for the Upper West Side and parts of Hell's Kitchen. And I'm also proud to serve as chair of the Assembly Committee on Housing. The NYCHA developments in my district are Amsterdam, Amsterdam Addition, and Harborview. And Yvette Powell here, president of Amsterdam Houses, is here along with a lot of the people who do the work in the buildings. So, yes, let us give them a round of applause. They do all the work. So, NYCHA residents around the city can breathe a much anticipated sigh of relief. The months and years leading up to this announcement have not been financially easy for most New Yorkers. Many tenants who lost their livelihoods during the height of the COVID-19 pandemic are still struggling under the crushing weight of mounting rental arrears and looming debt. And while most tenants who found themselves behind on the rent could rely on ERAP to dig themselves out of their non-ending financial hole, public housing residents did not have access to those same opportunities, and lifelines, which is why we're here today to celebrate, as the governor said, that the money is flowing. 95 million so far, more million to come, but so that you can also have peace of mind. You shouldn't have peace of mind last, you should have peace of mind first, but you should feel like, yes, government is looking out for us and is taking care of us, is hearing us, and is dealing with the issues that arise. When I was appointed chair of the Assembly Committee, Lisa Bovin-Hyatt was one of the first people to call me, and she explained NYCHA's financial plight and asked for a meeting urgently to discuss the future and the burgeoning rental arrears crisis. And with little to no reserves left, Lisa and others feared NYCHA was one emergency away from becoming insolvent. Protecting the city's affordable housing stock, protecting tenants from senseless eviction was obviously a no-brainer for me and many of my colleagues. But as is the case with most things in Albany, the fight to secure financial and other kinds of programs isn't a given, and it's not easy. But working with partners, like the governor, like Barbara Gwynn from OTDA, and all my colleagues here, including Eddie Gibbs, whose district owes the most, needs the most help, and will be getting a lot of that money. And I also see our Ways and Means Chair, Helene Weinstein. So, this was a group effort. This was something that had to be done. And looking at next year, NYCHA needs a lot more, as do many tenants around this state. And so I know we're going to work in partnership. I know that we're going to fight hard. And when we fight hard, we win. So thank you all, and I'm gratified to be here with all of you. Thank you.
Please welcome to the podium Assemblymember Grace Lee.
Welcome to the Lower East Side. Before I begin, I also want to just give a shout out to our council member from the Lower East Side, Carlina Rivera, who's also here. My NYCHA tenant leaders, Aixa Torres and Danette Chavez, who came up to Albany to fight hard along with all the other residents, and our council member, Marjorie Velasquez, who's also here in support. During COVID, I was on the ground every day delivering resources and food to residents in the district. And I saw how hard hit so many NYCHA residents were due to the pandemic. Our residents had to make unthinkable choices between burying their loved ones and paying their rent, between putting food on the table for their families or paying their rent, paying their medical bills or paying their rent. And we know that this isn't just anecdotal. We know for a fact that residents in NYCHA died at disproportionately higher rates than other New Yorkers. And a year after the pandemic, 50% of NYCHA families experienced permanent or temporary income loss. They were really suffering. And with that, what do? We deprioritized NYCHA residents. We did not allow them the same resources that every other New Yorker got access to, and we made it harder for them to live. So this news of funding today is life-changing for thousands and thousands of families, including over 1,000 families here on the Lower East Side. Families are not going to have to wake up in fear of eviction, of losing their homes. Think about the psychological trauma and burden on families every day waking up thinking they're going to lose their homes. And now we are giving them direct, one-to-one relief to know that they can stay in their homes. That's incredible. So I want to thank all of the leaders who made this possible. I want to thank Assemblymember Eddie Gibbs, Assemblymember Latrice Walker, who led the budget letter with me to get this done. I want to thank our housing chairs, Senator Kavanaugh, Assemblymember Linda Rosenthal, but especially I want to thank our governor, Kathy Hochul. We had a couple conversations one-on-one about how important this funding was to NYCHA residents. And you not only listened, but you heard the pain and suffering of so many residents, and you reprioritized our budget to meet our values. And so I really thank you for your leadership. Thank you for getting this done, and look forward to working with you on more housing policy going forward. Thank you, everyone.
Please welcome to the podium Congressmember Nydia Velasquez.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to be back in the Lower East Side, representing this community for 30 years, proudly representing you. You know, this moment, you made it happen. No doubt about it. But I want to let you know and to remind you that elections have consequences. So in Washington, there are some elected officials who do not see you. Maxine Waters, as the chair of the Financial Services Committee, and Nydia Velasquez, as the only member who sits in the Housing Subcommittee from New York City, we fought hard, tooth and nail, demanding for public housing residents to be able to access the rental assistance program. And you fell behind, not fault of your own. You know, we lost jobs. It's like the same thing that happened with the Paycheck Protection Program that fell under the jurisdiction of my committee when they wanted to exclude non-for-profits. And I say, non-for-profits? They employ more than 1 billion people in this country, and we have to provide a lifeline to them to make them whole. And it was my fight against a senator from Florida, Marco Rubio, who didn't want to extend the Paycheck Protection Program to NGOs, and we succeeded. And here we are today. I'm sorry that we are late on this one, but we are here. And we are here because sometimes we need to think out of the box. And the governor and the state leaders, elected officials, thought out of the box and created a mechanism to be able to access this funding. And I am proud to say that we are continuing to deliver on that commitment by allocating more than $300 million to NYCHA residents. I think that it was 2 weeks ago, or maybe last week, you know, with all the craziness that is going on in Washington. But I met with the governor in Puerto Rico, and we discussed housing issues in New York City. And here we are today. Thank you, Governor, for everything that you're doing. And, you know, sometimes we are dealing with the migrant crisis. Remember one thing. It is not what we want to do or to right the wrongs if we don't have another partner in Washington. And there are some of us who are there at the table, but we cannot tango by ourselves. We need two to tango. And the problem is that the Republicans did not want to support and make possible that everyone in this country, everyone, including public housing residents, have access to that type of assistance. So it is important that you continue to be engaged, to activate, and when you are frustrated, you need to show up. Don't stay and say, they're not going to take care of us, they're not going to pay attention. Make that happen by being in our faces, because you must hold us accountable to represent all of you. Thank you, and God bless you.
Please welcome to the podium the Chair of the New York City Housing Authority Citywide Council of Presidents, Daniel Barber.
Hello, everyone. First and foremost, before we go any further, to all the residents of public housing, give yourself a round of applause. We honestly couldn't have done it if we didn't all come together. Against our differences and everything, we pulled together to go out to Albany to let the legislators and the governor know the need that we had. I thank everyone who had a hand in us getting this funding, to my friend, Mr. Eddie Gibbs, and my other friend that's not here today, Ms. Latrice Walker. We thank you for being friends of the residents for years, and we appreciate you introducing the legislation. Senator Kavanaugh, thank you for the fights. Thank you for not agreeing and us going back and forth to get to where we are. Assemblywoman Rosenthal, I appreciate all of your efforts and your pushes to make this happen. Congresswoman Nydia Velasquez, thank you for being a pioneer for the residents of public housing for years. We love you. And as you see from the audience, they love you. To NYCHA, thank you for partnering with us. Key word, partnership. If we come together, there's nothing that we cannot do. But it has to be the residents to stand with you as a partner and it not to be a dictatorship. We've come a long way. Everyone said beautiful words today. Everyone showed up and showed out. But I really thank you all. And to my colleague, Ms. Aixa Torres here, thank you for pushing to have those meetings, and thank you for not accepting no as an answer when it came time to go to Albany. Thank you for pushing NYCHA along with myself to get those buses so that we can get there. Thank you. So, thank you all. Governor Kathy Hochul, thank you for being a friend. Thank you for being a partner. We appreciate you. We love you. We look forward to standing with you in partnership for other venues to bring more funding into public housing and to save when thousands of people call home. Thank you.
Please remain seated as we take photos.